Now, what you see here we have two different statements. And so these are people who may be coming from different perspectives, from different angles. You're going to need to use your common sense there to realize whether these two people are saying exactly the same thing, whether they're saying really opposite things because they might be competitors or something, or whether they're two different perspectives that both go together nicely to make up the overall information that we need to solve the question. Okay, so but in order to make sure that things were large enough and easy enough to read, the question is on page 3. The answer choices are on page 4. And notice what you have are a number of statements. And try not to read down past the last statement, consumers, because you don't want to start reading an explanation while you're still working on the question. Out of all these, one and only one answer will be the cause, and one and only one answer will be the effect. And good news, the two can't be the same thing. The only piece of bad news on this is that you have to get both answers right or you'll get no points. But another part of the good news there is that this one's worth more points, or double points, because it has two answer components. And you might make the case that this is easier in that regard because you're doing you're doing two questions over the same material instead of having to do two separate questions using two completely different samples or reading passages or whatever. So again, try not to scroll down too far on this page so you don't want to see any of the discussion before you do the question. But the information here is on page 3. You've got it from two different sources. So consider where they're coming from, if they're compatible, if they're at odds, or we don't know, yada, yada, yada. That's for you to decide. And then choose your two answer choices. And then, if you would, in the chat box below to host in private, let me know your two answer picks and press whatever type of emotion face you happen to be feeling. On the real test, you might go a little faster than this, but for our purposes here, because we're only going to do a handful of questions here on integrated reasoning, let's take 4.5, 5 minutes if you need it, understanding that we're going to take less than that on the real test. But this is new ground, so give it a shot. Well, do more than give it a shot. Asking us at all what the company is saying. It's only asking us for the cause and effect in the consultant's proposal. Now, because this consultant is being hired by a for-profit company, probably, common sense, reasonable thinking, what is going to be the goal of the consultant's proposal or recommendations? Just really, really, really basic level of a for-profit company, what's going to be the hoped-for outcome in the consultant's proposal? Better. Yes, okay. So Greg typed in first, to increase sales. That's not necessarily the goal. If we're talking about just a purely capitalist company, what is their actual most basic goal? To increase profits. Because you can completely shift your line of business and shift to high quality, low volume goods. You could actually decrease sales but increase profits. The end goal being basically to increase your profits. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Now let's look back at again at these different factors, cause and effect. And we're going to you're going to take this action so that you can increase profits. Let's look at it from that perspective. And then look at these cause and effect statements again. Let's start with the easier one probably to identify. Which one of these is most consistent with increase your profits? And it's also very, very useful to simply rule out the ones that are not right answers. That helps you get much closer and decide between two less than perfect answers. Okay, again, let's look for the effect that's going to cause higher profits. The first statement, that's not it. I mean, you all have seen, if you've had any kind of marketing classes or anything, you all have seen examples of TV ads or glossy print ads, sometimes that don't even figure a picture of the product in it, but it's something about the experience or a lifestyle, you know, going up to the mountains or going to Alaska or something. They don't even show you a picture of the vitamins you're supposed to take to get there or something. And this last one, this just has nothing to do with what the consultant's trying to recommend. Now, this middle statement, this statement C, that's not quite going in the right direction. We would have to have more information about how many fewer sets they're going to buy and how much higher their profit margin is for their better monitor. Otherwise, this might be beneficial to their business or it might not. So because we don't have enough information to know about their profit margins and sales and everything, this one's just too dangerous. It forces us to make assumptions. Okay, so between these two statements, let's call it B or let's call it D, which one of these has more of a final impact that's closest to the idea of we're going to make more money? Yeah. Right. And of course, they don't give us a nice satisfying, and then you'll make more money. Okay. This one is still one step removed from the end. Okay. If they place a greater value on your monitor, then we can assume that they will be willing to pay the extra 15% to buy your product. And then if all things remain equal and they buy monitors at the same rate, then you will sell a bunch more monitors, and then finally you will make more profit. D is more concrete, and that gives it the advantage, that gives it the edge, making it closer to being your desired effect. And turns out those other three statements are still bad. And so if the only answer we have left to choose from is B, which one is the cause? It's not really a trick question. If the only answer choice remaining is B, which one is the right answer for cause? There we go. If you see a $5 bill on the ground, don't question it. Just bend over and pick it up. Sophia, you want to chime in? It's pretty safe here in the water. Good. The only answer choice remaining is B, because we ruled out 3 wrong answers, and this one is the correct answer for effect. So the only choice remaining for cause is B, and that's because it's the right answer. Okay, the line of reasoning is they watch this infomercial. They find its argument persuasive when it says that a faster refresh rate gives you a more satisfactory, a more enjoyable using experience, less eye strain, better motion, better everything, fewer headaches, yada, yada, yada. Okay, that's the cause. And what effect is that going to produce? It's going to make them value that type of monitor more highly than they did before they perceived there to be a benefit from a fast refresh rate. Now, if they perceive it to have additional usability or additional ease of use or whatever, then they will value it more highly. They'll be willing to pony up the dough to get those extra functions. Then in this market, they will buy your product and not the other guy's product. And all of the things being equal, you will increase your sales and make more money. So that's the cause and effect. It's really sort of like two critical reasoning questions just put together. But the good thing is they go hand in hand. So if you know one is the cause, you know that the effect, can't be the same answer. And you can approach it from both sides and then in between. You can start by ruling out the answer choices that are just irrelevant, or they're just off topic, or they're not quite right. And then you can decide between just the handful of choices remaining, which ones must be the right answer. And in that way, you can select choices that you might not have picked at first when you had all your options available to you. But when you narrow down the process, you come to realize that this is what they consider to be the best answer. And that's an important thing to pick up on. It really doesn't matter at all what we think should be the right answer. If we want them to give us the points, then we have to give them the answer that they want. And so that's one of the big benefits of doing a certain number of sample problems every day or almost every day. Excuse me.